Hello, everybody. Welcome back. It is week 5 reaction time. Thank you for being here. Fourth and One podcast, extension of Fourth and One podcast. Be sure to follow us on all the socials. Fourth and One pod on TikTok, Fourth and One podcast everywhere else. Go ahead and hit that subscribe and like button. Thank you, everyone, for being here. We do appreciate it. All new episode coming later this week. Wednesday's the normal drop day for the full length episode. However, this is just a little 30-minute episode reaction podcast. So thank you for being here. It was a fun, great weekend of college football. It always is. However, sometimes the games do not live up to the hype with what is being promised. We had the promise of number 6 Oregon going into the whiteout environment. We had number 4 LSU going to number 13 Ole Miss. We had number 17 and number 5 Georgia. We had other great games like Auburn and Texas A&M and Indiana and Iowa. All of these promises. And sometimes the weeks just are blowouts and there are no good games. However, all of them kind of seem to hit. Let's start on Friday night. Florida State goes down to Virginia in a 46-38 double overtime loss. The Who's down there in Virginia get it done in double overtime. Really probably should have gone to a triple overtime. Deuce Robinson was unable to hang on to the ball in double overtime for a sure game time. Well, they still had to go to 0 for 2, but on paper, game tying touchdown. So down go the number 8 Seminoles on Friday night. Number 4 TCU also falls to Arizona State. Arizona State came back from a double-digit deficit in order to win this game as well. And then it took Houston overtime against winless Oregon State to beat them. Connor Wegman doing work down there for the Houston Cougars. All right, let's fast forward to Saturday and let's talk about Saturday just a little bit here. Well, a lot of it, as that will be the majority of the podcast. Let's see. I do have some transitions this week. So let's start there in what New York Times deemed the loudest stadium, which is Washington. 24-6, Ohio State. I never really thought they felt threatened the entire game. They really played this game as if they were in control, and they were almost the entire game. Julian Sain was 22 of 28, took care of the football. They didn't really ask him to do too much to the offense. They ran for $149 as a team. Bo Jackson, 17 carries, 80 yards. Jeremiah Smith had 8 catches for 81 yards and a touchdown. Really, Julian Sain is just being asked to manage the offense, not turn the ball over, and let the great defense that Ohio State has dominate the game. And that's exactly what happened. Damon Williams Jr., he was great for Washington, 18 of 22, $173. But again, the defense for Ohio State won't let anything happen over their heads. And so you're going to have to kill them by kind of 1,000 cuts if you want to beat Ohio State this year. And Washington got out-coached. I am comfortable to say that. You were in the red zone 3 times. You had a total of 6 points. You went for a fake field goal that your tight end was not on the same page as the fake field goal. He was blocking instead of it looked like a clear pass. So you kicked that. It would have been 17-9, kind of really late into the fourth quarter, still 1-possession game. Instead, it was 17-6, and then Ohio State got a touchdown on that. But Ohio State kind of was in the game late fourth quarter. Really could have been in the game if you would have kind of taken the field goal and kind of played the game that way. But I'm watching the game. Washington tried to play the game that Ohio State played, and they just don't have the personnel to do that. And I thought that if you're Washington, you're at home, you have this high-flying offense, you got to find ways to have explosive plays, and maybe the Buckeye defense truly is that good. But I thought that Jed Fish, he got a unsportsmanlike penalty that cost his team 15 yards. The refereeing across the landscape, not even in this game, but across the landscape, I felt has been subpar all season long. But Jedd Fisch has got to do a better job. He's got to be able to elevate talent above what they are, especially with him being the play caller, and he was not able to do that at all, and he just got outcoached by Ryan Day and the Ohio State coaching staff. Alrighty, let's then go to LSU Ole Miss, which was an entertaining game all the way through. However, I really did not think it should have been. Ole Miss dominated this game in every facet. They had 12 more first downs. They converted on third down 6 more times, Both teams was 2 for 2. Ole Miss almost doubled up LSU in total yardage, 314 to 197 passing wise. They rushed for 170. Meanwhile, LSU only ran for 59. Time of possession, Ole Miss won. Even penalties, 14 penalties for 109 Ole Miss had, and LSU had 7 penalties for 78 yards. Now, you want that flipped, but that's the only reason that penalty stat that I just gave you, 14 penalties for 109, that's the only reason why LSU was in this game at all. Is the penalty, I think in the first half, they had 10 penalties in the first half for almost 80 yards or something. Ole Miss was shooting themselves in the foot. They were able to overcome it because they were at home, I felt. And Trinidad Chambliss, shoot him right to the top of the Heisman conversation. He needs to at least be in the Heisman conversation. All this dude does is produce yards and efficiency on offense. He was amazing. Trinidad Chambliss was 23 of 39, 14, 1 touchdown. He did have an interception. His QBR was 87, and then he added another 71 yards on the ground. Now, he did have a big mistake at the end of the game, did not get out of bounds, or got out of bounds instead of sliding, which forced Ole Miss to go for it on 4th down. Now they got it, so a win is a win. But the former D2 quarterback, national champion, 2-time national champion that came from Ferris State, is looking awesome, and he should be at the top of all the Heisman conversation. LSU, their defense is really, really good. I know that stat, that the total yardage stat says otherwise, but Ole Miss is a high-powered offense and will be a high-powered offense as long as Lane Kiffin there. They got to find some way. They could not run the ball. They ran the ball 21 times for 2.8 yards a carry. They ran the ball for 59 total yards. You got to be better than that. And then Garrett Nussmeier, LSU is not a national champion contender with Garrett Nussmeier as quarterback. He has got to, without improvement, I should say, he has got to improve in a big way. Nothing says that you can't improve, but he is going to have to improve a lot for them to get back to the national title consideration in my mind. All right, let's go to the whiteout. Penn State, Oregon. I'm going to start out by saying that no one fears Penn State's whiteout anymore. That's just not a thing anyone fears anymore. Is it an inconvenience? Absolutely it is. But teams, I feel like, used to go in there and been like, oh, the crowd noise is going to affect. No one goes in there because Oregon dominated this game. I know it went to double overtime. I know Drew Aller had a great 4th quarter, and Penn State as a team had a 4th quarter. This was not a game that looked like Penn State was going to win for 3.5 quarters. This was a boring game overall. It was 3-3 midway through the 3rd quarter. Finally, Oregon scored. They got the ball back again. They scored again at the beginning of the 4th quarter. I thought this game was over, and then Drew Aller just put on his Superman cape, and the defense played good all game, played good in the 4th quarter, got the ball back twice, tied the game up. Overtime, Penn State went down kind of for their first possession and scored. Oregon needed a 4th down conversion in overtime, but then double overtime, Oregon scored right away, and then Drew Aller immediately throws an interception. So Drew Aller was the problem on Saturday night. Drew Aller sat line 14 of 25, 137, 2 touchdowns, 1 interception. His QBR was 67. I don't know. Like, he did not seem like a quarterback to me, or it does not seem like a quarter that can win. You can win a national championship with. Now, it wouldn't surprise me because dude has all the talent in the world. That once he gets to the NFL with a coordinator who can develop him and is used to developing quarterbacks, if he kind of takes off like a Patrick Mahomes, or in terms of development at least, like a Patrick Mahomes or like a Josh Allen or even Lamar Jackson, any of the top quarterbacks, because he has the talent, but he has not shown that he can be developed in college. Whether that's Penn State's coaching problem or whether that's the Drew Aller coaching problem, that remains to be seen. Team rushing, which Penn State should rely on. Katron Allen, Nicholas Singleton. Nicholas Singleton had 21 yards. Katron Allen had 54 yards. As a team, they ran for $140, 4 yards a carry. That's pretty good against Oregon's defense. You got to be better than that. With these two running backs and a returning offensive line that Penn State has, you have to be able to lean on that offensive line when things are not going well. There's no way that if you're at home in a whiteout with a veteran offensive line, two senior running backs, and a senior quarterback, that you should have 3 points on the board come midway through the third quarter. There's no way you should have 3 points on the board midway through the fourth quarter, which is what happened. So Penn State's got to figure something out offensively, because right now they're out of my national championship contender list. Who's on my national championship contender list is Oregon. Very impressive performance. I'm not saying it's easy to go in the whiteout. I'm just saying people don't fear it. Oregon did not fear it at all. Dante Moore was excellent, especially outside the pocket, improvising, creating big plays. And that's really when the offense got going, is when he was outside the pocket creating. The double overtime touchdown, outside the pocket creating. Their first touchdown, he had a pass scrambling out to his right, kind of dangerous throwback across his body, completed to Sadiq. Big play. In first overtime, fourth down, they called a quarterback power for him. Then they called a little shovel pass for the touchdown. Very creative play calling. The play calling for Oregon is what I expected out of Penn State, and I just did not get that. Meanwhile, Oregon rushed for 176 against Penn State's very good defense. That's more the numbers I expect if you are Penn State. And this is what I got from Oregon. They ran for 4.5 yards a carry. They had Hill Jr. run for 82 yards. Dante Moore ran for 35 yards. Noah Winnington. Like, it was all kind of spread out. But up near 200, when you are a ground and pound team, that is where you kind of want to be. But very impressed with Oregon. They go on my national championship contender list, along with Ohio State, along with, yes, Ole Miss, and yes, along with maybe Alabama's re-entering that picture. They go into Samford between the hedges, and they get a 24-21 victory. They played the game. Their first two drives, touchdown. Then they got a field goal and a touchdown. They had 17 points in the first half on Georgia's defense. I'm sorry, they had 24 points in the first half. Now, they didn't score the rest of the game. They missed a field goal at the start of the third quarter. They didn't really then sniff the end zone or field goal range the entire rest of the game. But their defense stepped up, and Georgia's defense also stepped up second half. But Kirby Smart, 1-7 versus Bama. Like, he has 13 losses to everybody else. 7 losses to Bama, though. And Kirby lost the game. Georgia went touchdown, then punt. First drive, so it is 24-21. First drive, fourth quarter. They've gone 9 plays, 43 yards. It is 4th and 1. They go tempo, inside zone, and they're running it to the right side. They had 2 true freshmen. They had a true freshman tackle and a true freshman guard on that right side of the offensive line. So Georgia goes tempo, runs to the true freshman's side, They blow the block. The play gets blown up instead of taking the field goal that would have tied the game, and that was the ball game. They got the ball back, and they had to, with about 8 minutes to go, and they had to punt with 3 minutes back to Bama, and they never got the ball back. So they did force Bama to punt, but then they got the ball back, and they went 40 yards and also had to punt, thinking they'd get the ball back, and they never got the ball back. So Kirby, again, played a hyper-aggressive defense. Sometimes when your record is 1-7 and you just need a win, and this was the first time Kirby got them at Sanford Stadium in between the hedges, sometimes you got to take the points when you get the points, and that should have happened. So Kirby Smart needs to pat his chest for this loss because I really thought his team battled back. His team also needs to start faster. Georgia is not in my national championship contender list. They just are not. They have gotten punched in the mouth. Tennessee punched them in the mouth. Yes, they battled back, but Tennessee almost lost again yesterday to Mississippi State. Mississippi State, very impressive after the season they had last year, so very proud of them. But they started slow against Tennessee. They started slow against Alabama, and kind of even in their non-conference games, yeah, they blew them out, but they kind of just mulling around a little bit. Other than that, the game very even. Almost 400 total yards for Alabama. Georgia had 357. Like, Alabama went in and they won this football game. Georgia did do things to help aid Alabama. There were some costly penalties. Georgia had 6 penalties, 68 yards. Bama only 4 penalties for 16 yards. Bama held the ball for 35 minutes. That's 11 more minutes than Georgia. They're going to have to, this is Bama, they're going to have to figure out a running game, because if you keep putting it on the shoulder of Ty Simpson, I think that's a recipe for disaster. But with what they were through in week 1 and what they're going through and how that defense looks now and how Ty Simpson looks, if they find a running game, boy, this is a national contender. Like, they're going on my list. I know they're only 17, and I know you people online are just going to give me hell for it, but they are on my national contender list because this is a very hard environment to go into and win. They went in and they just won the game outright. I am very, very impressed. And Georgia's defense got it together in the second half. Start slow. The offense started slow and then kind of came on and then kind of faltered late in the game. So absolutely very impressive. Good work on Alabama. I have one note. No, that was the 1-7. Kirby Smart is 1-7 versus Bama. I just want to say congratulations to Vanderbilt. Vanderbilt beat Utah State 55-35. Everyone expected that. They are 5-0 for the second time in 80 years. So anchor down. Way to go, Commodores. They get my salute for the week. I don't know. I don't have any awards. I'm just sitting here by myself. So Vandy gets my salute for the week. 5-0 for the second time in 80 years. A team that gets, instead of a salute, whatever the opposite of a salute is, that would be the Iowa Hawkeyes. They lost to Indiana 20-15. Indiana kind of did a safety late in the game to run out the clock. So really it was 20-13, and that's very important for people who like playing the games of chance. I'm just going to say this. Iowa has lost their last 11 games to AP top 25 opponents. Iowa is just not great versus ranked teams right now. They're 3-2 overall. They threw the ball. Mark Gronowski, 19-25, 144, 1 interception. It looks like Hank Brown, the backup, did come in. He was 5-13 for 48 yards and an interception. Not really sure what happened there. They ran the ball for 92 yards. Now, they did slow Indiana's high-powered offense down. Mendoza was intercepted. Did have 2 touchdowns. Threw the ball for 233, but was 13-23. Last week, I think he has more touchdowns against Illinois. Last week, he had more touchdowns than incompletions. I may have seen a stat, and this could be a wrong stat. He had more total touchdowns on the year than incompletions in general on the year. So Iowa kind of confused a little bit, but Indiana running the ball. Roman Hemby, 15 carries, 86 yards. He was at Maryland. They ran the ball for 153 yards as a team. They are very efficient still. They play good defense. It helps when you play a team that struggles with the forward pass and has struggled with the forward pass for the last 5 or 6 years. But they dominated the game. They outgained the Hawkeyes by 100 yards. They outrushed them by 60 yards. They did have 2 more penalties, but fairly a clean game. They did get out time of possession a little bit, but again, a fairly clean game. They went into a hard place to play. I think because of the environment, it's a sleepy environment. You know their offense probably isn't going to do much. Iowa's offense. They're going to play good defense, and they're just kind of going to mull around. But it was tied late in the game. Iowa actually had a lead. Indiana goes right before half, ties the game. And then Iowa had a 13-10 lead in the fourth quarter. So they were right there to win the game. And this is the kind of games they want to hear. They want to win. They kind of want to slog it out, muck it up, low scoring, hit that under, if you will, which they did. And they just couldn't get it done. Props to Indiana. They are in my national contenders list right now. This list will forever change. Week after week, it will change. Georgia might go back on the list. Penn State could go back on the list if they show improvement. Nothing says you can't improve, but I'm talking at the end of week 5. My national contender list consists of Ohio State, Oregon, Ole Miss, Indiana, and Alabama. Those are my 5. I'll give you 5 because I can't count much past my one hand that has the 5 fingers on it. So I'll give you those 5. And those are my 5. And I don't think a national contender list, when you get late into the season, really is any more than 5 teams. So I'll stick to 5. But though, as of week 5, those are my 5 national contender lists after week 5. Again, it'll change. Week 6, Indiana could get blown out. I think they go to Penn State. They might have a bye and then go to Penn State. But, whenever they might get blown out by Penn State. Penn State might look good and their offense might look baller again. And Drew Aller looks great. Drew Aller looks like the number 1 overall pick all of a sudden. Okay, great. Then they're on my list. Indiana's off, Old Miss might have a hiccup. Trinidad Chambliss turns back into a D2 quarterback. Something like that, USC, Illinois, great bounce back. Boy, did they play their hardest game of the year because they came off a 50-point beatdown from Indiana. You're at home, 11 a.m. kick, local time, playing a offense that has been darn near unstoppable the whole season. And if you lose to SC, get blown out by SC, lose a nail biter that you probably should have won, which is almost what happened in this game, that for some programs can be a downward spiral, and they hung in there. Let's start on the loser side. SC, Jaden Maiava, outside of the interception, he's been really good this year. 30 of 43, 364, 2 touchdowns, 1 interception. He didn't really run very much, but they ran as 126 as a team. Makai Lemon is awesome to watch. I am very impressed with Makai Lemon. And then they have some tight ends in that system, like McCree and Walker Lyons. They make the offense for SC very dangerous. Jaden Maiava's got to grow as a passer, but SC next year, I could really see them being a national championship contender list. Neither of these teams make my list, but Illinois needed this win in a big way. They tried to give the game away. Now, the refs helped them because Illinois went down to score. The running back is what I thought laying on the ground. It was called a fumble. Running back fumbles, air quotes. However, they go to replay. Running back is clearly on the ground. You can't see the ball or the ball's there, one of the two, and they decide to stay with the call on the field. So that turned into SC points. And then the Illini are going in to make it a 38-25 game with like 7 minutes to go, and they fumble the football. SC recovers. SC goes down, takes the lead. Illinois comes all the way back, and they kick a game-winning field goal as time expires. But over 900, almost 1,000 yards of total offense, 490 to 503. Both teams well over 100 yards. It was a fairly clean game. SC had 8 penalties, 69 yards. Illinois had 5 penalties, 42 yards. So SC they had their shot too, and they kind of gave it away. SC held the ball for 5 minutes longer than Illinois. So a very back and forth, the over hit in yardage and points, just very fun, entertaining game to watch. Luke Altmaier finally looked like a senior quarterback should. He was 20 of 26 for 328 and 2 touchdowns. They ran the ball as a team. Illinois did for 172 and a touchdown. Again, it would have been some more touchdowns if running backs could hold on to the football. So great win for the Illini program after what happened to them last week. I will say this. I need to see just a few more weeks of it, but Notre Dame eventually will be on my national contenders list. I know that I have a love-hate relationship. Mostly, I love to hate Notre Dame, and I love to hate Notre Dame fans, but Notre Dame looked very impressive on Saturday. Arkansas has no defense. Arkansas's defense isn't good by any means, but Notre Dame made it look like it was 7v air. Guys were running wide open. Jeremiah Love did whatever he wanted. He only had 57 yards on the ground, but he had 4 total touchdowns because he had 70 yards receiving and 2 touchdowns receiving, and then 2 touchdowns on the ground. Jadarian Price had 86 yards. They ran for 212 on an SEC defense. CJ Carr was excellent, 22 of 30, 354. They are really starting to hit their stride as a team. And you give this maybe the halfway point, week 7, and they're going to be in one of my 5, assuming they continue to look bad. Again, the Razorbacks defense is real bad, so I just want to make sure that this isn't a Indiana versus Illinois type game where everything just went right, everything clicked, the game plan went right, everything went right. But Notre Dame probably will go down this season as maybe, if they don't lose another game, the best 2-loss team of maybe even in the last 25 years. They are phenomenal. They have their 2 losses by a combined 4 points, and they had leads in both games late, or at least were tied late. So how dangerous can they be if they run the table? That will be something that we will have to see, because the only way they get into the college football playoffs is if they run the table. They're going to have kind of tough games coming up. They do have SC. So they have Boise, which that should be a rout come this weekend. NC State, again. It's NC State. They are the superior team. They get USC at home. So Boise, NC State, and USC are all at home. They have to go to Boston College. Boston College doesn't appear to have a defense. They blew a 17-point lead on Saturday to Cal. Navy, okay, they dominate them. Pittsburgh might be able to keep up with them for a quarter. Syracuse, again, throws the ball around, but Syracuse, yeah, they beat Clemson, okay, and then at Stanford. They're very possibility their 2 losses have come and gone, quite literally. Very impressed with how Notre Dame has rebounded. Their defense looking to be absolutely back on track. And finally, I just want to finish with this. 2 things. The refs, specifically the replay centers of all the conferences all across the country, have just been not good, ungood this year. I mean, they're reviewing stuff that doesn't need reviewed. They're not overturning stuff that needs overturned. They're not holding stuff when it needs upheld. When the fans on the field, yesterday, LSU, Ole Miss, quarterback runs up the middle, 65,000, however many seats their stadium holds. And I apologize, Ole Miss fans. I don't know. I want to say 65,000. I want to say it's one of the quote-unquote smaller stadiums. 65,000 people saw Trinidad Chambliss's face mask get pulled. They throw the flag. Great. They then have a conversation about it for 30 seconds. And really, whether this is what they did or not, they waited until they showed the replay in the stadium where it was clear that his face mask got pulled. That then did they come on and they say personal foul face mask? Well, I mean, what are we doing? You throw the flag, and really it looked like the guy who threw the flag went up to the head ref and said, hey, I got a face mask. It looked like, I don't know what happened, another ref came in and negated him. So then they had to have a conversation about what are we doing? That's just an example. They then, in the Washington-Ohio State game, they threw a flag for sideline interference. Turns out no sideline interference. Nope. And they didn't even give a warning. Normally they give a warning. Didn't do that. Nope. So the replay centers were in the Georgia-Alabama game review, or in the Penn State-Oregon game. They reviewed for targeting, and it was determined that it was hit with the hairline, not the crown of the helmet. That's fine, I guess. So, I mean, the head went down, and he hit him right here. Like, in Michigan's first game, they they disqualified Jay Sean Barnum for a face mask to the side of the helmet hit of the quarterback and deemed that was targeting. So, the replay centers just have not, and the refereeing just have not been good. And then one last thing, and I will just spend less than 2 minutes on. The Fox team, Gus Johnson, Joel Klatt, I need you guys to be better. I want you guys to be better because you guys were top 2 on my list. It went Kirk Herbstreit and Chris Fowler, and it went Gus Johnson and Joel Klatt, and now you guys are outside my top 5. I need you guys to please just call the game. Gus Johnson goes on these little tangents whenever he calls Ohio State games. I know he's not trying to be, but it really sounds like he's biased against Ohio State. The whole kind of Fox production kind of is very biased again. And I know it's easy in that, but even like when it's Ohio State, Indiana last year, they just could not stop talking about Ohio State, right? Whenever it's Ohio, like they don't talk about the other team. And then Joel Klatt, and I don't know, but like SC scored a minute left. And Joel Klatt is like, why did they score? They should not have scored. They should have not taken a shot at the end zone. They should have run more time off because now Illinois has all this time. Now he was right. But that's not like, just tell me what happened in the play. Give me the analysis of the play. Don't give me your coaching thoughts. If I can create those myself, clearly I have the podcast to do so. So let's just call the game, Fox team. Call the game. I don't need these little rabbit trails. I don't need, whenever they're home, I get, it's not just Ohio State. If they do like an Oregon game, they're really doing, like yesterday, SC's game. They're just gushing about SC and Illinois, and they're just talking about how Illinois is so brave, and it's like, guys, just call the game. They're talking about how it's so impressive that Illinois bounced, like, yes, we all know this. College football fans know this. Call the game. Call the game and then leave. Please. Everybody else does it. Okay? I just need you guys to be better. Thank you, though, for what you bring to my college football Saturdays, even if it is annoying. All right, everybody. That'll do it for me. We will be back later this week. All brand new episode of Fourth and One Podcast. Like, subscribe. Tell me how I'm terrible. Tell me how I'm great. Comment down below. All right. Bye, guys.